Hey guys, this is Manoj over here, and thanks for all the response that I got in the group. And I think I would not be able to conduct an online session. The reason behind is it was an overwhelming response, and I think my bandwidth would not support, take handling an online session for the entire batch. So what I would probably thought the best idea would be is to create a session with all the contents that I felt like sharing with you. And this is going to be the part 1 video where we'll be handling the basic SQL statements and how to execute a basic SQL statement and what are the concepts. So here I'm going to be using a Windows 7 operating system, and this operating system is running on a virtual box, and the database that I would be using is an Oracle database, which is going to be 11G release 2 version. And I'll be explaining each and every core concepts, and if in case I do give some wrong information, I'm really sorry for that. It was not intentional. And if you have any doubts, please do post. There is a mail ID provided along with the video where I have watermarked my content, and I'm using a very high sensitive mic, so in case if you hear any hissing noise or anything, please excuse me. And so let's start. So you can see that I've already created all my setup, and the schema that I would be using over here is going to be the HR schema. So what is a schema? Schema is a collection of objects that can be tables, views, and procedures, packages, functions. We'll see what is a schema in detail, but for a basic understanding, schema is a user. So here we are going to be using one of Oracle's default sample schema that gets installed while you're when you're installing your Oracle DB. And this schema's name is going to be HR, and the password I've set it up as HR. So let's get connected. So we are connected. So any query has got basically 3 functionalities, or you can say three things that I see. One is going to be selection. The second is going to be projection, and the third one is going to be a join. So what is this selection, projection, and join? We'll see. Let's open one of our tables. So this is going to be the most common table that I would be using for my training sessions. So this is called as the employees table in the HR schema, and this table contains a few columns called employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, hire date, job ID, salary, commission percentage, manager ID, and department ID. So when I select the entire table, it shows all the records. So it has 107 records. There is no restrictions or criteria specified for what kind of result I'm looking for. It's just showing all the records that are present in my employees table. Say for example, when I want only these records to come, okay, I can give some conditions which we'll be seeing in our later class lessons. So when I wanted to select only certain records from my table, that process is called as selection. And in case if I want only the employee ID column, this is called as a projection. So where I can, it's not mandatory that I should show all the columns in my output every time I run. I can use specific columns that I need for my output. So when I choose certain columns from my table, I project the columns that I need for my output, and I can display them. And join is when you have when you show an output using one or more table it's called as a join. And the first interview question that I'm going to, tell most of them, and where many people make mistake is, they might ask you a question, what type of database is Oracle? And I guess many will say it's going to be an RDBMS, which is a relational database management system. But please note it down, it's a wrong answer. Oracle is not a relational database management system, it's a object relational database management system. I'll show you what is an object relational database management system in a later part of our classes, because it is a new concept. To be new, rather than saying it as a new concept, it was an existing concept, but right now I don't want to go into into that particular thing, so we'll stick on with a relational database. But make sure that the answer that you give is object relational database management system. So first, let's see how to construct our first query, and let's see the syntax, how it goes. So the statement, like in C language, you say keywords. Here in Oracle, we use the concept called clauses. So we to be precise, let me hold on. Any commands that you give in Oracle, we call it as a clause. Okay, so if I'm going to use select as a command, this I call it as a select clause. And like this, there are lots of clauses that I'll be using. So if you come across the terminology clause, it's a keyword. Understand, it's a keyword in Oracle. So the basic syntax for writing your select statement would be first starting with select, then you can specify a column name, then column name, then you can go as much as you want. Once you are done specifying the column, then you can give the clause from, and then you mention the table name. So here I'm going to be using the employees table, or sorry, you have to mention the table name. And every SQL statement you should terminate it with the semicolon. So this is going to be your in the semicolon is going to tell Oracle that the end of the SQL statement has come. So let's write our first query, and to comment a particular coding, you can, for a single line comment, you can use double hyphen in SQL. So let's write our first query. I'm saying select followed by star from the table name employees. So to execute a query, all you have to do is you have to just click your cursor to where the particular query is, and then the shortcut would be the F9 key in SQL Developer. So let's see. Okay, now you see the output of the employees table, and it has lots of columns. And how to differentiate between what type of data is there present in each and every column is, see, if you see here, the employee ID is a number column. This I know by default because I've used this table a lot. So this employee ID is having a data type called number. In Oracle, numbers are right aligned. If you can see that the values are all right aligned, and character and date columns are left aligned. You got it? The employee IDs are left aligned, numbers are left aligned, whereas date and characters are left aligned, and department ID is again a number, so it's right aligned. So what does this star denote? When I provide the symbols asterisk, it all it says is without any restrictions, just pull every record from the table. Select star from employees. So in case, as I told you that you can project the column, so if I don't want all the columns in this table, I can specify each and every column that I want in my query. That is, in case if I want only the employee ID, first name and last name, then I can do is employee underscore ID, comma, last underscore name. Now let's execute, and so you can see that the specified columns are appearing: employee ID, last name and first name. And you can see, irrespective of what I've given everything, the column names in small case, but Oracle still shows the column names in capital letters. And this will be center aligned in SQL developer. So it's not mandatory that you should have all the columns in your output. You can restrict your columns by specifying the column names. Got it? So let's see what are the operators that we can use in our SQL statement. See, some of the operators that would be plus, then you can have minus, then you can have multiplication, and then you can have division. Got it? So let's take some of the columns that has number values. I'll say salary. Now if I wanted to do and find the annual salary, I can just do 12 into salary. So now you can see that we have the employee ID column, the last name, first name, salary and the annual salary. It's because it's multiplying 12 with the column salary. I can use the column again and again, it's not going to throw me an error. Oracle will understand that the same column is being called, so it will still display, it will not throw an error, but in SQL developer it will be adding up underscore 1, 2 and 3. Now let's say I wanted to give an increment for everybody after increasing their salary by 1000 rupees. So let's do it 12 into salary plus 1000. Now let's execute this. If you see how the value has been handled, it is actually giving us a wrong output. To be rather than saying it as a wrong output, the way we have given is what it's making Oracle to provide this output, because even Oracle follows the BODMAS rule that you would have studied in your lower classes, mathematics. So actually what happens is, first, as per the precedence, the multiplication is done first and then the value 1000 is added. So in case you wanted to prioritize an operation, you can give the brackets for a query. So let me show you the same output after giving the query brackets salary plus 1000. And so you can see that after adding 25 1000, the salary, you can see there is a huge difference in the salary. This is because of without the precedence, and this is after giving the prioritizing our query by saying that the salary should be added with the 1000 first and then it should be multiplied. Okay, so you can and you cannot do something like this. You cannot do something like this. If you wanted to do a add, you wanted to add two columns, you cannot just say like add last name comma first name. This will throw you an error in Oracle because you cannot do arithmetic operations on character columns. So how to do that we'll be seeing in this lesson in after some time. Now let me introduce to another column called as the commission percentage, and let's execute this. And here you can see the employee ID again, last name, first name, salary, and commission percentage. But here you have a value called as null. Okay, this and there are few people who has really some values. As far as Oracle is concerned, a null can neither be equal to 0 nor any value, and any operation that is done on a null will result in null. So how do we see that? Let's do something like this. So PCT plus 2. So I just wanted to increase everybody's commission percentage by 2. You can see that after adding the value plus 2, it is still showing me null values, because any operation that is done on a null will only give you a result of null. This can be an interview question again asked, like they might twist you with a question where they add a null null value multiplied or added, or they would have done some operation against a null value and they'll ask you what would be the result. You can straight away go and say them it's going to be a null value. And any proper values, it got added by 2. You can see that very clearly. Here it is 0.4 and here it is 2.4. So keep it in mind. In some case, if you get a null output, just make sure that your query is correct. See, then the next thing I would like to say is, see, whenever you write a query, make sure that you don't reveal your business logics. Business logics in the sense that any formulas that you use, any calculations that you use, anything. Now, in this case, if you see that I've added I'm writing a query where I'm saying commission percentage, then commission percentage plus 2. So this is providing me a value called 2.4, and I can say this very clearly that how I got this value is because I'm adding plus 2 to the commission percentage column. So this is again a business logic where I'm saying you can see that it's being added by 2. So never reveal these kind of business logics. It's very bad practice in when you're writing a coding. So now you can ask me the next question is, how do I hide this information, or change this commission percentage plus 2 to a different name? For this, Oracle has provided something called as an alias name. Okay, so the alias name can be written in 3 ways. One is the moment after a column name, if you type something like this, okay, and you execute it, you can see that it has taken the alias name that I have given. Here it is saying emp id. So the first method would be a name immediately given after the column name would be a alias name. Or the second method, you can use the keyword as l underscore name. So this as keyword is literally it's an optional keyword, so you can either use it or you don't have to use it. Then the third method would be mentioning anything in double quotes. See, I told you basically that in SQL Developer all the column names are shown in capital letters, but if you give an alias name within double quotes, it will not show it in capital letters. It will strictly follow what you have given in within the double quotes. Now let's execute this query and see. And here you can see that you have the annual salary column as it is mentioned in the query within the double quotes. Sorry. So what is the other use for this annual salary? Let's say like, I wanted to show my column as, I don't want it with underscore, I'll say it as EMP ID. Now let's execute this and see what happens. So here it is throwing an error from keyword not found where expected. The reason is because you cannot have spaces in an alias name. If you have any special characters or spaces, that alias name should be given strictly within double quotes. So let's execute this. And here you can see I have EMP ID and the L name. So these are the three ways you can give your alias name, and you cannot use the alias name again elsewhere. See, just because I've given it as L name, I cannot again say L underscore name over here. It'll strictly throw me an error saying that L name is an invalid identifier. So make sure that you don't use your alias name elsewhere in your query, but there are some possibilities where you can use an alias name, which we'll cover in our later chapters. As of now, please make sure that you don't use the alias name elsewhere in your query. Now let's I showed you an example before where I tried adding two names, like we did something like this: select first underscore name plus last underscore name from employees. And when we executed, it told us that is it's an invalid number. It's because I said you cannot do character arithmetic operations on character columns. That is, if you wanted to add two columns, or if you wanted to add something to a column, it's not possible with the plus symbol. So what method would I use for concatenation in Oracle is, we use the piping symbol, and that would be a double piping symbol, and this would be present right above your enter key. Here you can see that I've written select first name, then I have double piped, then I'm saying last name from employees. Let's see how the output is. Now you can see that Ellen and Abel is come. So wait, first even we can make it more clear by saying select last name, first name, so you can see the first name is Ellen and the last name is Abel, and you have the third column, which is the concatenated value of first name and last name, Ellen and Abel. Say like I wanted to add another string in front of the first name and last name, where I want to say my name is, or the username is. So how do I add a string? See, in Oracle, every string literal, it's presented within a single quotes. So here I'm saying my let's put it like this: the user name is, and to close it, you will add a single quotes followed by parenthesis, first underscore name, so what I'm doing is first adding the string the user name is to the column first name, Then I'm adding another blank space to the string. Then I'm adding the last name. I missed the keyword from. Let's execute. So now you can see this. It says the username is Ellen Abel. So hope this part you're clear with this. Now let's say we go into a bit advanced string. Let me say I wanted to say it's wonderful day. I just want to say it's a wonderful day, Mr. or Mrs. First name and last name. Now let's execute this query. See, again it's throwing an error. It's because as Oracle understands this, the string starts over here where we have opened with the single quotes and it ends over here. But we know that this particular sentence, it stops in this part of the single quote. So how do I overcome situations like this? We have something like something called as a quote operator. So how do you use a quote operator is you will give you'll press the alphabet Q, then whatever you need you can give that within the parenthesis, and now you execute it. So make sure that you give the quote operator Q followed by the quote single quote, then you can open a bracket, then type whatever you want, close the bracket, and then you close the string where it has. See, it's not mandatory that you have to use only this bracket. You can use the these brackets also and execute. Still it will work. So Oracle has provided functionalities to use all the three types of brackets is because sometimes you might need the bracket itself to be shown in your output. Hope this is clear for you. So the last thing that we would be seeing in this session is the keyword called as distinct, and the other keyword that I would like to show you is called the describe keyword. So what is this distinct and describe does? Now let's say select star from employees and execute this. You can see that Stephen, Nina, Lex and Alexander all belong to the department 90, and there are few people who belong to department 60, 100, and as it goes on. So we have few different department IDs. Now imagine I wanted to know what are all the different types of department ID. I don't want the duplicates. I wanted to know what are the different unique values that are present in my department ID. So when I say select distinct department underscore ID from employees. So here you can see that these are the different unique department IDs, and null also will be included in your output because as I said, null is neither a 0 nor a definite value. So null, it shows you null as also an output, and you can see that 10, 60, these are the different unique department ID. Now let's write a query like this and see what happens. So what I've done is I wanted to find all the employees, and read the distinct department IDs from the employees table, and let's see what output we get. So now we are getting an error called as missing expression. See, now how to explain this? Let me open Paint. See, what we are trying to do is, as we saw, there are 107 employees in our employees table, and we want to display all these 107 records. Okay, and we saw that there were only few department IDs present. So we had 12 different department IDs. See, Oracle cannot do something like this. It cannot show you an output like this where you have all the 107 employees and just the different unique department IDs. For every row there should be equal number of cells and columns. Got it? So if you wanted to see an output, it should always be like this. It cannot show you what I showed you before. So let's see what happens if I give. Now what I'm doing is, will this work? What I'm doing is I'm saying that I want the distinct employee ID, but I want all the department ID. Now if you see this, it shows 107 records. The reason is the distinct keyword is applied to both the columns employee ID as well as the column department ID. So here it takes the combination of employee ID and department ID. In case if there is duplicate in this combination of employee ID and department ID, then it will not show you that. That is, if you have a combination that is duplicated, then the distinct will not show you the output. And the last thing that I would say for this chapter, as I said, would be the describe keyword. See, I was telling you that there are different types of columns in our employees table, where I said there are character columns, dates, and numbers. So you have, now in case if I want to know what data type these columns are, one method would be I can double click on employees and I can see the data type over here. Here you can see the employee ID is number, and character column we call it as variable varchar over here in Oracle, and dates are mentioned as date. If you don't have SQL developer and you still wanted to see what type of column, what are the different types of column this employees table has, you can use the keyword DESC, which stands for describe, and you can say employees, sorry. And one good thing, okay, see here it says object employee does not exist, and I told you schema is a collection of objects. That's the reason it's showing, it's considering the table also as an object. And see, after giving describe, you can see that it is again showing employee ID, the type is number, varchar2, and forget about this null information, we'll see about this later. And you can either give DESC or you can give describe. So here you can see, so this DESC is the short form for describe. hope my session was useful, and in case if I, as I've said, if I've done anything or if I've given a misleading information, please excuse me, it was not intentional. And with this session is over, and tomorrow we'll be seeing on how to tomorrow or probably the next time I make this video, because it's already like around 4 a.m. over here, 4:15 a.m. I believe. uh, so when I'm doing my next video, I'll just let you know how to restrict the records that we wanted uh, from our tables. And later on we'll be seeing the other chapters of functions and other things, whatever is there in SQL. And the session is going to be very basic, and it's not going to be very too technical, because I want this information to be shared for people who are totally having zero knowledge to SQL, as well as who wanted to have would have missed some information, some basic information in SQL and PL SQL. And thanks a lot for all the support. Have a great day, guys. Bye.